All right. This morning we're talking about my favorite disability. Well, okay, not my favorite. The one that's near and dear to my heart, ADHD. We'll talk about the characteristics and strategies. Kind of determine if you have ADHD. Yeah, we'll do that. And then before we do that, we'll do spiritual development. And then get moving. I was going to move on to this one right here, but I like this one more right now because it covers more of what we're talking about. Did Peter have ADHD? Warren Taylor? All right. Did Peter have ADHD? So let's look at that real quick. Okay. What did Peter do for a living? What was his job? Fisherman. He was a fisherman. Okay. Peter declared, "Even if I die with you, I'll never disown you." And all the other disciples said the same in Matthew 26:35. Then Simon Peter had a sword, drew it, and struck the high priest's servant's ear, cutting his ear. Struck the high priest's servant, cutting his right ear off. Then, Lord, Simon Peter replied, "Not just my feet, but my hands and my hands and my head as well." Three different examples right here of impulsivity without thinking, acting without thinking. Could we see just a little part here, maybe Peter's ADHD, hyperactivity disorder, not focusing, not organized, he just impulsively acts. Who knows? I don't know, it's just some examples. There may be some other examples we could look in the Bible. These three I found. Jesus was talking to him here about, Jesus was going to go to the cross and he said, I'm going to die with you. Well, he's just saying it out of saying it. Okay, this one right here. The soldier came, Peter took a sword out and just cut his ear off automatically. Well, he didn't think before he was doing. A lot of kids that have ADHD don't think before they do, and I do the same thing. So, and then Jesus was actually washing the feet of the disciples, and then Peter said, "Oh, not my feet, but my hands and my head." Well, he wasn't getting the point, and oftentimes kids with ADHD don't get the point of what we were talking about, especially teachers. Okay? So, that's my devotional thought today. I can't answer that. Did Peter have ADHD? I have no idea. But these are some examples of what ADHD could be manifest in Peter's life. So, prayer request? Anything? Anyone? One of the days you're going to pray. All right, let's pray. I thought about doing the Lord's Prayer this morning. That way we're all praying. You can. You learned it while you wrote it, didn't you? Hey, by the way, did y'all like Tony Campolo? You didn't even pay attention, did you? Were you in chapel yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Did you like him? You didn't pay attention.
I heard it.
I've heard him 4 times now. Once when I was in college, twice when I was in RE, and now, or twice when I was working here as a professor, and once as an RE. He changes. At your age, it's a little hard to pick him up. I think when you get my age, you'll understand a little more. Yeah.
Eyes closed all the time.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah. He's the real deal if you think about it. I mean, he's on the board of Harvard, and he's been around the world, and he does a lot of stuff. So anyway, that had nothing to do with my prayer this morning. So I'm gonna pray. We did the Lord's Prayer yesterday. That's what I was thinking. Okay, Father, thank you for this day. Thank you to the students. I pray for these students that aren't with us this morning. As they watch the video, I pray that you just help them learn a little bit about ADHD, and with the students with us today, I pray that you open up our hearts and minds. Help us to reach out to those around us. And if, Father, if we feel that we have some type of disability, help us look to you and look to those around us that could help us. And Father, we just want to give you glory. In your name we pray. Amen. All right. Okay. ADHD. Bless you. Okay, so when you think of a kid with ADHD, did you know anybody in high school or junior high that had ADHD or ADD? Say again.
I was diagnosed with ADHD.
So you have ADHD. Great. Congratulations. Welcome. Yeah. How long have you had it? When were you diagnosed with it?
7th grade.
7th grade. You take medicine for it?
I did, but I stopped after a year.
Yeah. That's dangerous, though. Just stop. Yeah. Did you feel any different when you stopped taking the medicine?
Yeah, I felt like I was like trapped within my body.
Yeah.
Which I wanted to move, like.
So you must have learned some skills and strategies to overcome the deficits of ADHD to get to college and do well and graduate high school and so on. Can you grow out of ADHD? Not necessarily, but you can learn skills, right? So I'm glad you said that. I've never been diagnosed, but I've self-diagnosed ADD, right? And we'll talk about the different types here in a second. But hyperactivity, I'm not. I'm just too lazy to be hyperactive. So I have attention deficit disorder. I think it's not a disability, and why is it not a disability to me?
Doesn't affect your life function.
Yeah, it doesn't affect my life function. At times it can, though, if I don't use a calendar, for example. Like when you guys email me for your practicums, if I don't write that down right then, I'm never going to remember it. I'm going to, and I even sometimes write the thing in my calendar and the time and still get it wrong. Don't ask me why. Anyway, hyperactivity disorder, attention deficit disorder, according to the DSM, I'm going to give you the DSM definition of it too, and it has it up on the board, but we'll look at this right out of the big Bible. You always miss my devotions. I pray for you. I cry. Yeah, I knew it. Okay. The DSM definition of ADHD, and it includes this stuff I have on the board right here, right? Number one, it says either A or B. It says A is inattention, B is hyperactivity. Okay, either or. Or impulsivity also. All right, inattention. Often does not give close attention to details or makes careless mistakes in schoolwork and other activities. I can check that off for myself. Can you check that out for yourself, Lindsay? I see you're even looking. Yeah, you're moving ahead. All right, so number one, I can check that off. All right. Often has trouble keeping attention on tasks or play activities. Sometimes for me. Often does not seem to listen when spoken to directly. That's me. That's my wife. That I mean. And when I'm trying to concentrate, like on a TV show, by the way, I love TV. When I'm watching TV and she's trying to talk to me, I get really frustrated because I can't concentrate on her talking and the TV. Right? Do you get mad when you're watching a movie and people are talking, Lindsay? Yeah. It drives me crazy. I'm like, shut your mouth. All right. 4, often does not follow instructions and fails to finish schoolwork, chores, or duties in the workplace. I don't follow instructions very well, but I usually get my stuff done. Okay. Often has trouble organizing activities. That is me to a T. Sarah, you're a good organizer, aren't you? Okay, well, see, like, I would have to work with you. So, like, if you're organizing something, you just don't know what to do, I'll do it, you organize it. Okay? Does that make sense? If you have me organize it, it would be chaos. It would be total chaos. All right? 6, often avoids or dislikes or doesn't want to do things that take a lot of mental effort for a long period of time. Oh, my word, yes. I do not like to think very much. 7, often loses things needed for tasks, activities, like pencils, books, tools. I lose stuff all the time. It's weird. Yeah. Often easily distracted. Hey, look at that squirrel. Yes. I can be carrying a conversation on with one of you, and I would be thinking somewhere miles. If I'm talking to you, for example, Hannah, you've been in my office multiple times. If I'm talking to you and I kind of get a glazed over look a little bit, I'm thinking of something else. And it's not because I'm not interested. It's because I'm not interested. You know, if you think about it, I'm thinking about something else. I need to be doing something. Because sometimes you could say a word or say a phrase that makes me think of something else. We all do that. I mean, all of a sudden I'm somewhere else and I'm trying to focus on you and that at the same time. Often forgetful in daily activities. Okay, so inattention. Yeah, I've got some inattention. Okay? And that's pretty much me. B. So in either of these, it says 6 or more of the following symptoms of inattention or symptoms of hyperactivity impulsive must be present for 6 months. Okay? You can't just have it for 1 week and be labeled ADHD. Okay? Hyperactivity. Often fidgets with hands or feet, squirms and seat. Now, I do that. I'm always doing something. If you see me at meetings, I've got silly putty. Absolutely love silly putty. You've seen me with silly putty, haven't you? Love silly. You should try it sometime. Silly putty is a wonderful thing. Often gets up from seat when remaining seat is expected. All right, think about kindergartners. There's a kindergartner that keeps getting up out of their seat have ADHD. No, they're kindergartners and they're knuckleheads, right? If you think about it, all kindergartners, okay, every child from the age of when they're walking to kindergarten, maybe beyond, has ADHD. Think about that. Every child has that because they're children. That's what happens. It's only after you get to that point when they're expected to do certain things and they cannot perform like sitting in their seat for a period of time. Okay. 3, often runs or climbs when it's not appropriate. Adolescents or adults may feel restless. I feel restless at times. Often has trouble playing or enjoying leisurely activities quietly. Often on the go or acts as if driven by a motor, and often talks excessively. Okay. So hyperactivity, I've got a couple of those things. 6 or more present, I have the hyperactivity because I don't have all 6 of those. Now, do I have 6 of those 9 of the inattention? Yeah. Impulsivity, often blurts out answers before questions have been finished. It's like when you're playing a game show and somebody hits the buzzer before the question's finished. It's that type of person, all right? Often has trouble waiting one's turn. Often interrupts or intrudes on others' conversations and so on. All right, number 2, 3, 4, and so on. Symptoms that have caused impairment were present before age 7. So that's like, let's say, first grade. Some impairment from the symptoms are present in 2 or more settings at school, work, home, or whatever. There may be clear evidence of significant impairment in social, schoolwork, or functioning. Symptoms do not happen only during the course of a pervasive developmental disorder like autism or schizophrenia or some psychotic disorder. All right, there at the bottom, there are 3 types of ADHD. Now, you've seen this stuff on that, but look, before we move on to that, let me give you the prevalence of ADHD. 3 to 8% of school-age children have ADHD. That's a lot of kids. 4.2% of preschoolers, more boys than girls. Preschoolers now, when I talk about, why in the world didn't they diagnose if preschool? Don't they all have ADHD at the time? Well, I don't know why they do that. I mean, I think I'd wait a little bit longer. But anyway, this is what they're saying. So, Latinos are less likely to receive ADHD diagnosis. I don't know why that is. I cannot tell you why. I'm sure there is research on that. Could it be culture? Could it be their background? Could it be environment? I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay. Here we go. The bottom part of the page there. There are 3 different types of ADHD. Now, when you hear a person say, hey, that kid, or the teacher says they're ADHD, they could be one of the 3 types. The very first one, your paper says, is combined. So you have ADD, and you also have ADHD, attention deficit disorder, and you have hyperactivity disorder. So that's combined. That's like the double whammy, if you think about it, okay? The second one it talks about is predominantly an inattentive type. Attentive. Yeah. Predominantly inattentive. They're not focusing, and if you look on the inattentive type of A, 6 or more of those things. Okay, and then the third type, hyperactive. So it's not necessarily when you hear a teacher say, hey, that kid has ADHD, you don't really necessarily say they have all of it. You may be thinking they have 1, 2, or 3. Okay. Now, you're a teacher in class. Let's say you got a kid in 7th grade. You think he's got ADHD. You look at this sheet. You happen to remember this class, and you think Neil was the best professor in the world. He gave me this sheet, and I can diagnose him with this. Right? I'm going to go through. And I'm going to look at this student, and I'm going to check off this student. So Johnny is 6 of the inattention, and he's got 6 of the hyperactivity. He's got 2 of the impulsivity. This kid's got ADHD combined, right? And you go tell his mom, hey, I think he's got ADHD combined, and this is what I've seen, guess what's going to happen? You're probably going to get fired because you just made a professional judgment where you shouldn't be making it. Does that make sense? Because then you made a judgment. That parent then says to your principal, hey, Mr. Hagedorn said, hey, my kid's got ADHD. You need to pay for his testing. You need to pay for his med, all these different things. Whereas you, instead of doing this, you would go to special ed and say, hey, you know what, this kid has got these symptoms. Can you follow this kid? Can you shadow him? Can you do some assessments? Find out what the problem is. Who can diagnose ADHD? Let's just say that. Counselor, maybe. But they can't do much for it.
Psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist, right? Remember, psychiatrist has got an MD. This is good. I'm glad you're moving. Psychiatrist can. Your medical doctor can. So psychiatrist, anybody with a medical doctor can. Sometimes people with PhDs, that they're specifically trained in ADHD, sure. But a PhD can't just prescribe any medications. So if you have medications, you remember what medication you were on? Did you see it listed on the back of this paper? I'll let you look through your medications there. You probably
I think it was
Dexedrine? And the reason I said about diagnosing this, you have to let the people that are qualified to diagnose it. And let me give you an example. I work in Kresge Center as the academic supports and services person. I'm like in the room right now because we need to find somebody. But I make sure that anybody that has, like for example, ADHD gets accommodations here at Mid-America. So if, Ashley, you have ADHD and you need additional time on test, I can make sure here at Mid-America you get some additional time on test. You can do that if you have a diagnosed disability, okay? So I had a girl come in, a lady actually, an older lady, come in the other day. She was just weeping. She knows she has ADHD, was never diagnosed with it, but she finally went to a counselor and they said, you need to go see your doctor. And I said, you might try medicines, but I said, I need to preface all this by saying you need to go to your family doctor and you need to get their opinion and find out what medications they want you on. Does that make sense? So I prefaced all of it by saying you need to do this. I cannot. I said, I'm not a professional in that sense. I don't have the credentials to diagnose, so you must go to your doctor to do that. So ADHD's got to be prescribed by doctors, the medicines, and it's got to be diagnosed by a doctor. Okay. Little side note here: is ADHD covered under IDEA? You guys remember what IDEA is?
I'm going to say yes.
You got a yes?
Or is it section 504?
There you go, right there. Yeah, on 2 choice, 50% chance, right? Yeah, absolutely. You're right. It's section 504. You just find and correct yourself. Typically, ADHD is not covered under IDEA. It's covered under section 504 of the American Disabilities Act, right? However, there are specific times that the school may say, or the doctor may say, you know what? This is affecting their learning more than just behavior. Then they can label it other health impaired under IDEA. It's called OHI. You're going to hear that. I'm telling you, you're going to hear that. Somebody's going to say to you someday, hey, this kid's got an OHI diagnosis of whatever. Other health impaired means it's not really covered under IDEA, but they label it under this so they can get IDEA services. Because right now, if you think about it, a kid with ADHD, they're not getting speech therapy. They're not getting other special ed services at all. They're only getting accommodations in the classroom. And it's the teacher, and nobody pays for it. But if that kid needs additional supports and services, then they label it OHI, put them in special ed under IDEA. Okay? All right, let's look at some of these drugs here on the back of that page. So how many times I wanted to call my doctor and see if he'd put me on one of these things. But I don't. I probably should. The ones that you hear about all the time, Ritalin, Adderall, Strattera is a newer one, right? All these drugs are not a fix-all. So if I give Ashley Concerta and it doesn't work, then I got to go to the next thing. Let's try Ritalin. And maybe that works. But I put you on too much of it as a doctor, then I got to drop the dosage down and it works. Or if that doesn't work, I got to move you to the next one. So I'm assuming, Lindsay, one of these, your dexedrine, works for you somewhat to help you focus. Yeah. And I talk to adults like yourselves now that have ADHD that have been on meds. You may not function with meds now because it may not help you play very well. And actually, I know somebody that played another sport, I can't remember. They can't take it while they're playing because they can't function. They can't take a med when they're playing. Because, like you said, you make you feel like you're trapped inside your body, kind of a zombie. That's normal. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, absolutely. So, how then can you function without it? Well, then you've learned specific skills to kind of get through. So there are a number of different meds here. This is back from, I can't remember when this book was published. Oh, this is right here from retrieved 2003, so it's been a while. There are other stuff out on the market too. Anybody else have ADHD in here, or ADD? Okay. All right, for the longest time, ADD and ADHD were the fastest growing diagnosis of disabilities for kids. Really fast. Back in the day, when I was in high school, everybody was getting diagnosed with ADHD. That was 20 some odd years ago. And it's kind of moved now. What's the fastest growing disability now?
Dyslexia?
No, close. No, it's not close either. Not even near. Look at you. Yes, it's autism. About 4 years ago, they'd say 1 out of 115 kids were born with autism. Now it's 1 out of 88. So when we get to autism, we'll talk a little more about that. That's the fastest growing disability. The largest disability is what? You were close. Dyslexia is part of what? Learning disabilities. Look at you. I thought that's what you said. So, anyway, okay. Those are the types. Here's some intellectual functioning information. Students typically 7 to 10 points below the norm of 100, right? So let's say they have an IQ typically of 93 or 90, right in there. Is that bad? Is it bad to have an IQ of 85? No, it's still in the median, right in the middle. So, I mean, this is just using it for an example to give some type of characteristic. 21% of elementary students with ADHD have identified as having intellectual disabilities also. Yikes. So 21% also have some sort of, what's intellectual disabilities? What do we call that? Say again? No. Mental retardation. So anytime you think of this intellectual, they have, then the old name is called mental retardation. Approximately 20 students with ADHD are also identified as having a learning disability. Okay? And then 5% also have speech and language disorder. Students with ADHD also have impairments associated with motivation, memory, goal-directed behavior. I'm trying to think of music people. Sometimes music. Anybody music ed? Anybody musical in here? What do you play? You sing. Do you guys write stuff? Sometimes musically talented people seem like they have ADHD. Or artistic people. Anybody paint in here? Drawer, painter, stuff like that? See, you may fit right in there. Sometimes those people seem like that because they're out in their own world doing certain things that they like doing. Whereas people like me, I'm just so lazy, I don't want to do it, I can't do those things, then I may see that differently. But if you look at people that have specific talents, sometimes they often are mislabeled as having ADHD. Not necessarily, but that. Okay? May also have coexisting behaviors, anxiety, conduct, obsessive compulsive disorder. Coexisting, and I used the term comorbidity here before. Specific challenges include conflicts with parents, teachers, and peers, of course. Low self-esteem, increased risk-taking behavior, This is very interesting. I'm going to throw this out here, and I just learned this. Dr. Todd Bowman is in our graduate program in counseling. I don't know if you've seen him. He's the guy with the little white patch in his hair. Have you seen him? He's like, his brain is huge, just humongous. He is the director of our sexual addictions treatment program. That you can get a certificate here to help people with pornography addiction, sexual addiction, over-sexualization, all these different things, right? And it's training for lay people and pastors and so on. We were talking the other day that kids with ADHD typically are hypersexualized or over-sexualized, which they are at higher risk becoming porn addicts, sex addicts, alcoholics, all those different. But we mainly talked about the sex part of it. And you think, wow, that makes a difference the way you can approach some of these kids. Now, he said the meds right here that we talked about do help with some of these kids. So they could help with how they approach their sexuality, for example. You can see a kid that's always bouncing off the walls. What are they looking for? Not sex, but what are they looking for? Stimulation, right? And a lot of these things are a stimulant that counteracts the stimulation in the brain. Some of these are a depressant, so they depresses the brain a little bit. But if the kid's up and down, they're always looking for stimulation. Okay. All right. So let's talk about, we're going to take a little quiz here. True, false. This is your final exam. If you fail it, you fail the class. Okay, just kidding. Teacher knowledge about medication and ADHD. These are all true, false questions. I'll read it. You put down true or false. Okay? And I have a key, and I will tell you the answers in a minute. Number 1, ADHD is the most commonly diagnosed psychiatric disorder in children. True or false? Number 2, there are data to indicate that ADHD is caused by a brain malfunction. True or false? Number 3, ADHD symptoms such as fidgeting, following through on instructions, or being easily distracted may be caused by academic deficits. True or false? Four, stress and conflict in the student's home can cause ADHD symptoms. 5, diagnosis of ADHD can be confirmed if stimulant medication improves the child's attention. True or false? 6, stimulant medication may decrease the physical growth rate of students. 7, stimulant medication may produce tics in students. A tic would be an example of like blinking the eyes, saying things out of context a lot, flapping the hands, doing a number of different things. 8, Adderall, Ritalin, Dexedrine have abuse potential similar to Demerol, cocaine, and morphine. True or false? The long-term side effects of stimulant medications are well understood. True or false? Number 9. Actually, I might go too fast for you. I will slow down. I will accommodate for you. Number 10. Over time, stimulant medication loses its effectiveness. 11. While on stimulant medication, students exhibit similar amounts of problem behaviors as their normally developing peers. Or typically developing peers. While they put normal there, I do not know. I do not like that word. 12. Short-term studies show that stimulant medication improves the behaviors associated with ADHD. And then 13. Studies show that stimulant medication has a positive effect of academic achievement in the long run. All right, let's look at the answers here. As soon as Ashley is done, I'm forcing you to go fast. Number 1, of the teachers that were asked, I don't know how many teachers were asked, 58% got it right, and it's true. Number 1 is true. 58% of the teachers got that right. Number 2, is false. Only 10% of the teachers got that right. Number 3 is true. 63% of the teachers got that right. 4 is true. 71% of the teachers got that right. Number 5 is false. Only 33% of the teachers got that right. Number 6 is true. 38% of the teachers got that right. Jeez, Hannah, you're terrible. Yes, she is. Whatever. What number are we on after I just counted? 7. 7 is true. 45% of the teachers got that right. Number 8 is true. 46% of the teachers got that right. Number 9, false. 67% of the teachers got that right. Number 10 is true. 46% got it right. 11 is false. 11 is false. 27% of the teachers got it right. Number 12 is true. That's 86% of the teachers got that right. That's the highest one. And then 13 is false. 6% of the teachers got that right. So, out of 13, what's your percentages? Chris?
Slightly under 50%.
Pathetic. Lindsay, what'd you get?
9.
That's good.
Wow.
That's good. Ashley? I don't want to do math this morning. Hannah?
I got 7.
Half, 50%.
I got 8.
Rachel?
I got
The two smart ones here. All right. So, you can see where you stand in relation to what teachers ask also, but some of these things should be telling you as a teacher coming up how you can expect students to behave in your classroom, okay? All right, let's look at some strategies. Man, I love killing trees.
8.
Thank you. People are like, hey, let's go paperless. Well, it's not. Thank you. Hey, you know what? When I go to heaven, I don't care about the earth anymore. Think about this. Anyway, okay, I know Dr. Cole would hate that. I was a biology major. So. Did you guys know that?
No.
I have a degree in biology too.
But just because you are biology doesn't mean you like.
I know, I'm not a
do,
tree
like,
hugger
human
anymore.
biology.
I saw the live one in special ed. Okay, here's some strategies you can use with kids like Lindsay in your class, all right? Don't automatically assume ADD or ADHD, especially if they're really young, all right? You know what happens when you assume. Makes an ass out of you and me. I said it, it's on camera. All right. Don't assume that kids have ADHD. Do not suggest to their parents they have it, all right? You tell them what you observe and tell them this is what I feel that I need to do in class to help them, okay? But don't say your kid's got ADHD, okay? 2, talk to the parents. What if the kid acts like they have ADHD in your classroom, but then they go home and they are perfect children? It's not ADHD because it's got to be over more than one setting, right? So if they can go to Sunday school, if they can go to work, or if they can go someplace else and don't have those characteristics, and they only have it in your class, well, then there's a problem in your class. It may not be you, but there's a problem, all right? Don't threaten. By the way, I sent a threatening email out this morning to you guys. You knuckleheads. Chris, you did it.
What are you talking about?
You know the teacher ed handbook, you read it,
Yeah.
and you signed the form.
Ooh.
You bunch of knuckleheads that have not done it yet, Ashley Melton. I sent an email out. I try to have teeth in it, but it's very hard for me to do it. I put, you were going to lose 10 points every day after Friday. Yeah, like I'm going to do that. Anyway. I hate to do that. Anyway, please read the handbook and say on the form you did it.
I didn't think a little bit. You read it.
It takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Skim it, have fun, enjoy it.
Besides that.
No, I read it.
He did read it. He put it on the form. He did. Rachel, I'm so sick and tired of your attitude.
I do have a question about it afterwards.
Yes.
that
Okay.
I'll ask you.
Okay, don't threaten. I threatened you this morning. Don't threaten because you can never follow through with a threat with a kid with ADHD because they're going to continue to have the behavior. It doesn't matter how many times you punish or threaten them. Okay? Yeah. Silly putty. Look at that. Number 4. Number 4. If you do not, do you use, oh yeah, look at you. Can you show them their little ball, their little squeezy ball thing? Isn't that a beautiful thing?
Yeah.
I love the big ones too that you can squeeze them with. Yeah.
Well, this one like relaxes you.
Well, and why would that relax her and why does it help her? It's the tactile feeling, right? The little knob things on it. I like silly putty because I can stretch it. And if I'm in a meeting, I drive people nuts in meetings. Because I'm usually rolling it on the table and stretch it and do certain, and they pay attention to me doing stuff like that. But I pay attention while I'm doing it. I can carry conversation. I can know what's going on in the conversation as long as I'm doing something with my hands. Silly putty is a great, great thing. Give them a checklist. This is beautiful. There's a checklist. You have a sheet. All right, today, Chris, this is what we're going to do. You have things you got to check off. So as we get it done, go ahead and check this off, okay? And if you check all these done today, I'm going to give you an extra 10 minutes into the class. I'll let you go to the library. You can mess with the computer, or I'll let you stay in here and do whatever. Elementary, you say, if you get these things done today, you're going to get a big high five, and you're going to get a green card, and or whatever, how you treat those kids. Shut up, Hannah. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. It just came up. The thing that came to my mind. Okay. Give them a checklist. Like clearly define your expectation. Okay, Rachel, this is what we're doing today. I expect you to do this. All right? I expect you to do this. If you don't get it done today, these are the consequences. All right? Please get this done. Just like I did take 10 points. Anyway, clearly give your expectations for that day. Because how many times my son, my oldest, that has ADD, but he's not medicated. I think he's HD also. Anyway, I would get so mad at him, and he said, well, you never told me. You're right, but I assume that you know how to do. Well, there we go, assuming again. It's a problem. Okay. Clearly define rules and reprimands. Here are the rules, and the reprimands are going to be this, all right? Provide advance warnings. All right, you have 10 minutes to get this done, all right? Sarah, I knew you were working on Facebook right there, so you have 10 minutes, all right? So let's count. What should you have done in 5 minutes? Well, I'll tell you, you should probably have these 5 questions done in 5 minutes. I'm going to come back a few minutes later and then check on you. That way they have some idea of what's going on, okay? Tell them good job. However, that's okay. I want you to be specific, though. Hannah, you're doing a great job of paying attention and not making fun of me, and I appreciate that. You be very specific, as opposed to, hey, that's a good boy. That's a good boy. Yeah, people are very unspecific when they're praising kids at times, right? It's not like a dog, right? Good boy. Be very specific about your kids. Actually, you did a really good job paying attention today. Thank you very much. Thanks for staying on task. Thank you for having your pencils out. But you still have trash in your thing. All right? Number 21. Be involved. Incorporate their interest into the lesson. All right, today we're talking about physics. But you know what? Chris can play the violin. I'm going to show you some physics with that. Will you bring your violin next week? Automatically, she's hooked, right? So either I become the greatest teacher in the world, or you may hate me for pointing you out like that. Who knows? You might want to check with a student before you do that. Anyway, but you involve their interest in that. What did Danny's interest on the IEP? What was his interest? Building stuff, right? And farm machinery, stuff like that. By the way, I've sent all your lesson plans back to you with comments. Did you guys see all those things? Yes, I sent you a nasty email this morning. Yes, I did. I said, you're going to take 10 points off every day after. Yeah, right. Okay. Use rewards. Rewards are a good thing to talk about computer time, green card, stuff like that. All right. Let them have quiet time. It's okay to let them be quiet by themselves. Is it okay for a student to stand the entire time when you're teaching?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What if Rachel is the worst sitting down? I'm going to move her to the very back right there. You can stand the entire time. If you want to work, stand the entire time. Do what you need to do in your groups. Stand the entire I don't care as long as you're not bothering me or anybody else and you're quiet. There's nothing wrong with that. Another thing that helps, it's beautiful, are those exercise balls. Have you ever seen those? They're big exercise balls. Have you ever used them? I'm afraid if I sit on one, it's just going to explode. It's going to pop. I really want one because can you imagine sitting on those at a desk? What are you doing the entire time? You're keeping yourself balanced, so you're moving back and forth, right? You're going to ask a question. What's your question?
I'm just curious if you get students standing around about what you do with other students that are like they should why aren't they doing that?
Good question. It's
bothering them.
yeah. It's a little more difficult to justify if it's kindergarten. You know, okay, Johnny, you can stand back there. Everybody wants to stand now, right? It's going to be a little different. But you get 4th, 5th, 6th grade, they know that Rachel she's got a nut job. They know that, right? So they're going to move. They know that when she's standing back there, they're good. Now, if you say to me, hey, can I go stand back there? No. Why? Because you probably talk. But can you stand over there to the side? Sure, I'll let you do it. Can you accommodate for everybody? Yeah, absolutely. That's accommodation that works for one, but everybody can use. And that's called something developed for one person, but everybody benefits. Universalism. You learned something in this class. I cannot believe it. Okay. Those balls, by the way. I've seen a whole classroom full of them. It's wonderful.
What if they start like bouncing on
The rule is, and that's good, the teacher even told me that I once saw, she said the butt must be on the ball at all times, right? So you can never come up out of it. You can bounce on it, but if your butt comes up off of it, you're done. You got to sit back in a regular chair. And that's almost like a death penalty for a kid that wants one of those balls to sit on. They're like, oh, crap, I got to sit in that chair, right? But those balls are so good. I could think, I would love to sit on one. If I had one that's heavy duty, that you can move back and forth, and you have to balance yourself the entire time, and you're not even thinking about it, right? So if you've ever been on those, you athletes do the same thing for your ankles when you hurt them. You ever seen those balance boards? You may have used them before. They've got a little ball in the middle of them and this board on top, and you stand on it and you have to balance on it, and it helps your ankles if you hurt your ankles. It's the same thing. You're trying to balance yourself on this ball, and it keeps them occupied. It keeps their mind occupied, just like a silly button. Okay. All right. Those are some strategies. Real quick before we get out of here, I found this. There's a number of different things on the internet. Here's a self-screening test. We're going to take this quiz, all right? We can get this done real quick. All right, Rachel, we're doing you. You find activities that you make, I find that make careless mistakes in work, in school, and other activities. I have trouble paying attention to details or reading. I have reading problem. Is that yes? Very much. Yes, moderately. No. Yes, somewhat.
Just somewhat.
I tend to fidget with my hands or feet or squirm.
Yes, moderately.
Yes. Often miss what's being said to me in conversations.
Not at all.
Welcome to my world. I am just like that. Like, did you say that?
Depends what time of day.
Yeah, I understand. Like, especially in this class. Yeah. I prefer to run about or climb on things.
Yes, moderately.
You were the girl in elementary school that had a skirt on and would always want to climb the tree. Yeah. I found it difficult to organize. You may even do it now. You know. Find it difficult to organize my tasks and activities.
No.
I am often on the go.
Yes.
Very much or moderate? Or somewhat?
Moderately.
I tend to lose things for need for school.
No.
I can't help but give the answer. When they walk in, like, whoa. I can't help but give the answer before someone's finished asking me the question.
No.
I am forgetful during my daily activities.
No.
I can almost tell you what your results are going to be. Anyway, I find it difficult to keep my attention on what I am doing, whether working or playing.
Yes, moderately. I mean, no, wait, the other one, somewhat.
Somewhat. Find it hard staying or sitting, I'm stupid. I find it hard to stay sitting even when I know I am expected to.
Yes, somewhat.
That, I'm serious, that is my ADD coming out in me. When I read faster than I should. Yeah. I find it hard to follow through on instructions or finish chores or duties.
No.
I find it hard to engage or play in leisure activities that are quiet.
Yes, somewhat.
You're the loud girl. I don't like having or make sustained mental effort. Have to make sustained.
No.
Oh, I hate it. Absolutely hate it. I tend to talk excessively. That'd be very much.
Yep.
No, you don't. What do you think?
Moderately.
I'm easily distracted.
Yes, somewhat.
Hey, look at that shiny thing. I have trouble waiting my turn.
No.
I often interrupt others.
Yes,
What are you
somewhat.
gonna say? Yes, which,
Somewhat.
even before age 7, some of the questions 1 to 18 would still have the yes, moderately, or quite a lot.
What?
Like before age 7, did you have these things?
Yeah, I think so. I don't even remember what they were.
Yeah, y'all speak. I experienced problems related to some of the above in more than one context. Remember we talked about you have to have it in more than
Yeah.
the kinds of problems I experienced due to these experiences are pretty serious in my social life, academic work, and so on. Do they cause problems in your life? I've previously been diagnosed with a mental disorder. Yes.
No.
All right. Score
No.
answers. What did I say? Your total score is 14. 0 to 23, low level experience associated with ADHD. So you're 14, you do not have the associated with ADHD. Could this be a diagnostic tool for you to say, yes, doctor, I have ADHD? No, but you can say, this is the thing I took on the internet. Will you help me explain if I have ADHD or not? And I just diagnosed myself with WebMD. All right, I'll see you guys on Friday.
No homework?
I will have a form. There was a form last time too. No, there wasn't. There was a form before last time. If you can get that done, and I'll have a form for this one too. Was it? I don't remember. All right, there will be a forum. Okay, good. Thank you.
You never told me.
There's ADHD. All right, there will be a form for today, and right underneath the video for today in that block. Okay. Yes. I would like those as soon as possible. So if you missed the class, you can make up for that class by watching the video. You have to give me a write-up about it. Okay? If you haven't missed 3, or if you haven't missed more than 3, don't worry about it. Because you get 3 misses, right?
Yeah.
But if you get to a 4, if you can do the video. Yeah. Yes.
So we can talk about my life.
You know, it'd be the best thing for you.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank
I
you.
know the answer to that.
Because you know I'm going to.
Just kidding.
I'm gonna tell you, yeah,
I
what
knew
is
in
it?
the beginning. I just
Yeah.
thought.
Way to exploit my ADD. Thank you very much.
I know my advisor.
Yes. Just email me. I'll look at my times and schedules. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. Turn this way. Hello. Good morning.